Whatever is happening with this thing called cryptocurrencies is insane. It still feels like it's not real. How much do you think Bitcoin price was exactly a year ago? Less than $7,000. Within a single year, the price skyrocketed to over $60,000. It's floating somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000 now. Just 5 years ago, in 2016, the price of the Bitcoin was less than $450. These kind of moments push you to think twice about whether you're investing in the right asset or not, because a $10,000 or $20,000 investment in Bitcoin would have turned you into a multi-millionaire today. You could have purchased a Ferrari and start making YouTube videos where you could say, knowledge. That's supposed to be a joke. It's uncertain where the cryptos are headed now. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin crosses $100,000. I remember back in 2017, everyone was freaked out about how on earth Bitcoin worth $15,000 or $18,000. Little did they knew what 2021 have prepared for us. If you're feeling bad for missing the opportunity to invest in Bitcoin 5, 7 or 8 years ago, then let me introduce you to James Holz. He's a software developer who was one of the few early users of Bitcoin. When mining Bitcoin was super easy, he used to mine a lot from his bedroom using his personal computer. Now you can't, since the network has grown so much that you need huge computer warehouses to mine even a single Bitcoin. Back then, he mined over 7,500 Bitcoins from his little bedroom. He believed in this idea, but had no clue that his hard drive soon will worth a fortune. Back then, Bitcoin wasn't as exciting as today. It was only used on the dark web to exchange illegal goods. So when he was cleaning up his house, he thought that he had taken out all the information from that hard drive, including his Bitcoins. But he didn't. So he ended up throwing that hard disk with over 7,500 Bitcoins. Somewhere in the world, there is a hard drive with access to Bitcoin wallet with 7,500 Bitcoins that worth over $427 million. This guy was sitting on a pile of virtual gold. He threw away almost $500,000. Just imagine for a moment how bad is he feeling. He has spotted one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He did everything he could to take advantage out of it and then threw it away in the garbage with his own hands. He's only going to feel worse as the price of Bitcoin keeps rising. But he's not the only one. Stephen Thomas also has a wallet with over 7,000 Bitcoins, but he forgot his 12-word password. Back in 2011, he produced an animated video explaining how digital currencies work. For his efforts, Bitcoin Enthusiast awarded him 7,002 Bitcoins. And right now, he has a fortune of almost $400 million that he can't access because he doesn't remember his key. Whenever you have a bad day, just remember these guys. I don't think you can mess up more than what these guys did. However, not everything is sunshine and rainbows when it comes to cryptocurrencies, because everything that rises will eventually fall, whether it's cryptocurrencies, the stock market, or real estate, or any other asset. I've already experienced one cryptocurrency crash at the end of 2017, and it seems like we might experience another one this year or in the foreseeable future. Of course, it's impossible to predict anything because the future is unknown, and whoever claims to know the future is lying. But if we just take a look at the facts on the ground, we might be able to make a reasonable prediction based on the current circumstances. So let's take a look at whether we are at the brink of another crypto crash. In March 2020, the price of the Bitcoin was a little over $5,000. It already lost its momentum back in 2017, and experts predict that it would only grow slowly since then. To change the financial industry is almost impossible unless the government is backing you. But something unexpected happened around that time. Suddenly, the future became uncertain. A global pandemic stopped the world from turning around, and we had absolutely no idea how on earth are we going to get out of it. Investors panicked, sold their stocks, so the stock market dropped by over 30% in less than a month. They couldn't even invest in real estate because most people lost their jobs due to the pandemic. And it seemed like they will not be able to pay their mortgages and the housing market will collapse. that's why they started buying gold, because gold has always been a global currency of the world, and no matter what happens, gold will always hold its value. So gold prices rose instantly. In a few months, they crossed a breaking record of almost $2,100 per ounce. But something different was happening around the same time. Cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, has already developed a reputation of being virtual gold. You might not be able to touch it, but there is a limited number of them, and it's backed by this huge network across the globe. So, some investors turned to Bitcoin to protect their wealth in such uncertain times, which led Bitcoin prices to rise. And finally, in a long time, the price crossed $11,000. But it wasn't just the price of the Bitcoin that was rising so significantly, but pretty much every other asset. The stock market was shooting through the roof, for example. Real estate prices grew by double digits. What do you think happened? The Fed understood that if they are not going to act fast, this pandemic could get much worse than the 2008 crash. In 2008, it wasn't just the real estate market that collapsed, but rather it took down the banks with it, since banks provided mortgages to these homeowners. On top of that, banks sold these mortgages in the form of securities to investors, so when everything collapsed, it took down with it banks, homeowners, and investors, and unfortunately, the entire global economy. So the Fed said, we're going to do whatever it takes in order to prevent such a recession like we had in 2008. And that meant printing money and buying corporate bonds. At first glance, it seems like, how is that related to Bitcoin? It definitely helped the stock market to rise faster than ever, but the Fed didn't do anything to boost Bitcoin. You see, when the government passed the stimulus bill and filled the economy with cash, a lot of people began to worry about inflation. More money in the economy means the real value of each dollar will decrease, which means holding cash was a bad idea. So investors were buying all kinds of assets to preserve their wealth, including Bitcoin. So Bitcoin prices instantly started rising. But they rose a bit too fast and attracted speculators who wanted to profit from the rise of an asset, which is what usually happens when a certain asset starts rising too fast. So between September and January, the price increased from $10,500 to almost $35,000. In less than 6 months, the price rose by over 220%. Everyone expected Bitcoin to crash, but then this is what happened. Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, which boosted the demand through the roof. The news of Tesla investing in Bitcoin sent shockwaves across the world, pushing more investors to buy Bitcoin. In less than 2 months, price doubled, and for the first time ever, Bitcoin crossed $60,000. To make things worse, Musk tweeted that now you can buy a Tesla with Bitcoin. That gave a lot of legitimacy to Bitcoin and made it even more popular. The real value of Bitcoin is its network, the fact that millions of people use Bitcoin and it makes the financial transactions easier. But no one knows how much Bitcoin really worth. It could worth $1 per Bitcoin or $100,000 per Bitcoin. Everyone has an opinion. But the fact is, the recent Bitcoin price spike is driven by people's fear of inflation, a bunch of speculators, and some tweets by the king of memes. Of course, there are a lot of other factors that influence the rise of Bitcoin, but what happens when the fear of inflation will go away, when interest rates will be raised? There is a good chance that the demand for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will fall, which will drive away speculators, which will further drive the price down, which will scare off simple retail investors who wanted to profit from the spike. I personally believe that Tesla will sell its share of Bitcoin once something like that is around the corner, but it's just my opinion, which could be entirely wrong. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin will drop to zero or it will drop to pre-pandemic levels, but it will definitely drop. How big is that crash going to be? Well, only time will tell. But if you're a long-term investor, you shouldn't care, because personally, I believe that cryptos have a future. Despite all the challenges they have to go through, despite the fact that they are not going to replace fiat money, at least in the coming few decades, they still have a future because the world needs a decentralized financial system. Now it's time to give this video a thumbs up and make sure to check our second channel, Bloom. If I'm not posting here, then I'm definitely posting something there. So if you enjoy our videos, you will definitely enjoy our second channel. See you there. Thanks for watching, and until next time.